Hi, Susan.
Hi.
I'm I'm Lisa Steffian and Alexis, as we've already started talking. We both are working at ODU for the Center for Educational Partnerships, of course, as you know, with ARCS. And
Okay.
this is something that we've created to kind of support, it's a newer idea. Um, and Alexis came up with the idea of kits, keeping in touch seminars, so that we could keep our community of ARCS participants kind of connected and not just feeling like, hey, I'm in this program, but I haven't heard from you guys for a while, or I'm not sure about this or that. So when you use classroom resources or when you receive them from ARCS, we just want to make sure that you're able to use them. So
Right.
that's what this is going to be about. It's going to be an introductory, kind of an introduction to BBOTs. Can you, before we launch into my whole overview, can you share what grades you teach and kind of your background with BBOTs?
I teach kindergarten,
Oh,
and
great.
then I also do after school with a group of second graders.
Oh, then this
Perfect.
is perfect then.
That's exactly. I'm so relieved. And you've got a set of BBOTs?
Mhm.
And have
Yes.
you
I do.
used them very much yet, or are you just starting to
Um,
kind of dabble?
just kind of dabbling with it. I made last year at the end of the school year, I made a couple of boards where I cut out the pieces and put them together, laminated it, and all of that. But I definitely want to try to use it for more than what I have right now.
Well, I think you'll be really pleased. We have access to some new resources that
Yay.
weren't available in the past. So let's get
Okay.
started, and then we'll kind of, since it's just us, it may be more chatty and conversational. But let's just go in and see where we end up.
Okay.
So
Absolutely.
you're
And normally, if
welcome.
this was
Oh, go
a
ahead, Alexa.
large group of us, we would use
Yes.
the chat, but please just, if you've got a question, just jump right in.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to apologize in advance because I have a really cranky old fox terrier who I'm trying to keep asleep. And he may join us, and you'll hear him in the background, maybe. Hopefully not.
That's okay. I've got dogs that are outside, but if my husband lets them in, you will hear them.
So for us, I'm relieved to hear you're working. You're in the perfect zone here with kindergarten through second grade, because that's what BBOTs really were created for, right? For the K through second grade classroom or any educational programs. So you're right on target with that. We've already kind of introduced ourselves, and this is probably a dumb question, but with the Alexis, is there a way that we make sure she has this PowerPoint? How do we,
I'm
because
going to share
normally we
both
could,
of them.
okay,
So
okay,
when we send out your certificate for this, we're going to make sure
okay,
that we share both, not only the Bebop presentation, but sort of just in general to everyone who participated. You'll
okay,
get the videos, well, the link to the videos, the presentation that has the resources in them. So you'll kind of get all of it, even though this is the one that you came to.
okay.
Okay.
That's good to know. Okay, and that's good for me to know too. And the reason I ask that is I want to make sure you have our emails. Because another thing, Alexis and I are relatively new to ARCS, and we're trying to connect more with participants. So just for whatever reason, if you need help with this stuff like the BBOTs or Spiros, that's great. But really, it can be anything related to ARCS that you have a question about. So that was my reason for pausing there. What
Okay.
we're going to do today is we're going to go over computational thinking and kind of like the whole foundation of why we integrate computer science with elementary school students and young children. Talk about what is a BBOT, review some classroom lessons and activities that you will continue to have access to, and I'll explain that in a little bit. We're going to look at the emulator, which is the virtual BBOT lessons on their website. And then
Okay.
we have some additional resources and suggestions as well. And would love to hear more about what you're doing. And that'll tie in with our slides. So the first thing, and Susan, were you here for Brad Fessler's Spiro presentations, or is this your first one?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. All right, good, because I didn't want to repeat this video if you had been there, but I'm going to go ahead and play. This is just an overview about computational thinking.
Okay.
And then we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll go ahead. So let me make it big. Computational thinking.
What is it, and why is it so important? Let's start by looking at the what. You may think that computational thinking is about thinking like a robot or programming like an expert, but it's not. Rather, it is a very versatile skill, a skill that focuses on critical and logical thinking. To put it simply, computational thinking is a problem-solving skill. Let's dive a little deeper. Computational thinking is about looking at a problem and solving it systematically, and therefore arriving at a solution that both humans and computers can understand. Essentially, it is considered the highest order of problem solving. Computational thinking is made up of 4 elements: decomposition, pattern recognition, abstraction, algorithmic thinking. First of all, decomposition. Decomposition is about breaking a difficult problem down into simple and easy to manage parts. Second, pattern recognition. Problems come in all shapes and sizes, but amongst their many differences, there are bound to be similarities. Pattern recognition is about spotting what different problems have in common and using what's worked before to help you out again. Third, abstraction. Abstraction is all about focusing on the details that matter while ignoring the ones that don't. By applying abstraction, we can cut through fluff to get to the heart of the matter. Finally, algorithmic thinking. Algorithm is really just a big word for a set of rules. So algorithmic thinking is basically when you generate a series of simple steps that anyone can follow to solve a problem. Now, let's bring everyone together with a simple example. Meet Max. He's your average hardworking young man, trying his best to be a productive member of society. But today, Max's car has broken down. Luckily enough, he's computational thinking enabled. Let's see how he solves this problem. Max's car can't move too well. He realizes that there are 2 problems. He's running low on fuel, and he has a flat tire. That's the first pillar, decomposition. Now, Max has been in a similar situation before, and based on past experience, he knows that he should take care of the flat tire first. That's the second pillar, pattern recognition. He doesn't have much fuel left, but it's enough to get him to the next patrol station, so he decides to ignore that and focus on the tire. That's the third pillar, abstraction. Finally, to change a tire, Max has to use a jack to elevate his car, loosen the nuts on his tire, remove the tire, and replace it with a new one. Now that's algorithmic thinking. As you can see, computational thinking isn't just for computer scientists or programmers. In fact, many kinds of people, from mechanics, doctors, to presidents, are subconsciously applying computational thinking in their daily lives. Thanks, Max. Have a nice day at work. So why is computational thinking so important? It's not. That is, if you don't mind being left behind in the Stone Age. According to Moore's law, computing performance doubles every 18 months. That is to say, in 10 years, a $1,000 computer will be able to compute faster, more efficiently than the human brain. With technology growing at such an exponential rate, we are integrating computers more than ever before into our lives. To connect, to optimize solutions, and most importantly, to solve problems. The possibilities are limitless. The problem is, having a supercomputer carry out basic instructions and tasks is not at all economical. To make full use of a supercomputer, you'd need to know how to give super instructions. This is where computational thinking comes in, a powerful way to generate advanced solutions and manipulate computers to work for you. Now, imagine if mankind had such immense power at our fingertips. We would be solving problems faster than ever before, with laser accuracy and machine efficiency. With computational thinking and supercomputers, the dream to tackling titanic problems such as finding a cure for cancer can be a reality, pushing mankind beyond the final frontier and boldly go where no man has ever been before.
Okay, so thinking about just those kind of the basic building blocks of what kids need when they start learning about computational thinking and how it applies when we do activities in any subject. Do you remember any of the little pillars, Susan? I hate to pick on you. Normally I would just like open it up and you don't have to say anything, but I wonder if you picked up on anything that resonated.
Just like with patterns and the algorithms. I mean, with kindergarten, we go through patterns so much, and then algorithms, just sequencing of events and how, how it continues.
Yeah, and you don't realize that you're doing computational thinking pretty much throughout your day as a
Right.
teacher.
Yes. Yeah. Perfect. And when we think about BBOTs, they tie in so well with all of the pillars. But like you, I kind of honed in when I think about sometimes the even games like snakes and ladders, checkers, things like that, that are unplugged, but that do use kind of that computational thinking.
Right.
And then you're applying it when you're using a tool like the BBOT with the kids, so they can practice with other sorts of games that are unplugged, and then move up, I guess, to the
And-
BBOT. And then the algorithmic thinking, exactly.
And that's just your daily schedule, really, is do you have
Yeah.
a certain way that your kids have to line up to go to lunch or
Right.
use the restroom? And so that's all part of that as well.
Yeah, exactly. So perfect. So this is the way that I want to go. Whoop, there we go. Okay, so finally on our like sixth slide, I do, intend to specifically talk about the BBOT, but just kind of an overview that BBOT was created as an educational tool for K through second graders specifically. I put here because it's really endless, and Susan, you probably may know this too if you've looked for lessons, which there's like a plethora of lessons out there, but you can use it for counting, reading, planning, mapping, and science, social studies, and math, English, reading. All of those things can be adapted. And the resources that we're going to share that were created by greater minds than mine have used them across all these different areas, and they're available for like free to use for our participants. So that was one of the things I was really excited about. Now, I don't want to belabor the anatomy piece too much, but I want to mention a couple of things. First of all, this may or may not look like your BBOT, because the See and Say BBOT that has more of the musical quality to it, that you can record messages and if you have a group, they can communicate with each other. That actually has 3 switches on the bottom, not 2.
Gotcha.
But for our purposes, it really doesn't matter, because they both can still do all the things that kids are when you're integrating computer science. Yeah, so Alexis is going to hold up the kind that
Get to
hold
not
it
blur
back a
for-
little bit from because it's blurry.
closer to me. Maybe I need to
Yeah.
unblur my
Well,
background.
you unblur your background, yeah.
Yeah,
And
let's
I
see.
have mine here too. Look at, I'm so afraid to like wake up my dogs. Can you see mine? I have 3.
Gotcha.
I have 3. So whichever kind you have, I just wanted to make sure, obviously, already that you have to charge it before you use it. But there were a couple of things. The reason I say check which model you have is about how you know if it's charged or not, and also about the charging station. But I wanted to just start here. Have you worked with the different directional? Yeah, that's just like mine, Alexis. So we've got the See and Say.
Right.
When you look at yours, Susan, have you worked with the different directions? It sounds like you have, because you made some mats. Okay, so let's jump to this. The thing I thought was interesting, because it sounds like you're doing some creating of your mats, which is super smart. The amount of space, if you wanted to get technical and make more mats and go get for different types of things, it's a 6-inch step. So that's when you're moving him forward and backward, he's going, or she is going 6 inches per increment. The other thing I wanted to say, because I make this mistake, the good news is I'm going to make all the mistakes. So I'm going to tell you all the things not to do that I've done. When I started using my BBOT, I forgot to click the X. And so these can hold up to like 50 or something commands. And if you do, right. So you can kind of envision where mine went. So just make sure, and that the kids know too, that every time they want to do a new instruction, just to hit that X for clearing, because that's or not, if you don't want to, and you want to, add cumulative, you know, instructions or patterns. So this may be very rudimentary for you, but I put this in here again because I wasn't really sure, and it's for anybody who maybe just got their BBOT. But if you have it and it's charged, you don't have to actually do this right now. I wanted to make sure everybody knew how to make it move forward and how to make it move backwards, and then how to clear it. Do you have any questions about navigating with it and the different directions and that sort of thing?
Mm-mm.
Okay, all right, good. That's what it sounds like here. And then again here, when we talk about it, it moves 90 degrees each time, which is going to become relevant when we talk more about the actual lessons, because for things like in math with shapes, and as even like maybe second graders, older kids with the angles and things, you really can use that 90 degrees to your advantage. And attach a marker. And I have a video of someone that has done that. I don't know have you tried that, Susan, attaching a marker?
Mm-mm.
Okay, cool. So
And
I
they
have a
actually
video.
sell a marker holder.
They
for
do
your
now.
Yeah, for a set, which is
Really?
actually fairly affordable. You get a set of, I want to say 6 for like $30.
Yeah,
So if you haven't figured out how to get the cup and the pin,
yeah.
it's not a bad price for, something like that, which we can
So-
choose them.
Right. Back in the olden days, when they first started with them, they would have teachers have these videos where they would kind of like, attach them with tape and things. But the concept, yeah, and they are available for a reasonable price. So like Alexis said, it's perfect for kindergarten too. So just FYI on that, but I'll show you a video in a minute of that. All right, so we're good on how to move it and how to navigate. I only want to say this because when Alexis and I did our PD with the BBOT, like the people, Terrapin, the company that makes BBOT, they said that one thing that they've had customers tell them is that you don't want to, they actually can die, so to speak, if you keep them in the charging station, which might not be intuitive. It wasn't to me. I would think, and Alexis too, right? I mean, I would think, oh, keep it in the charging station until
So
you,
it's constantly staying charged, but yeah.
but they said that's a no-no. So if you're going to use it the next day or whatever, that's fine. You can keep it in the charging station. But that was just kind of something that we wanted to make sure we put in the training, was that once you've decided that you're not using it for the weekend, just leave it out of the charging station. If it's out of the charging station, like for the whole summer, that's not good either. So they recommended, every 2 months charging it. And the one with the 3 buttons on the bottom, the see and say, will flash red if it needs to be charged. And then when it's solid red, it means it's charged. So that's that model. But the oldest version doesn't have that same capacity. So I think the other one just has the left eye green light, and the left eye green light means it's fully charged. So that's the original model, but it does everything you need it to do anyway. So, and then I put in here, we don't have to go to this, but I did put some links in here, just for participants to go and explore later, about tips about basically just how to take care of your BBOT.
Okay.
Okay. So here's my art guy that we like, and I'm just going to show you the video. He goes through a few different things, but it's a really short video, and I just thought we thought it was cool. So.
Okay.
I think that's it, right? That's it. Okay, I can do that. I know how to do it. Okay. So what did you notice, Susan? So I don't talk through the whole thing. That you know.
I like the idea of the pen. I think that would be something that definitely, where there's no really right or wrong answer if they're just trying to do that. So yeah.
Exactly. And you get a product, right? You feel a sense of
Mhm.
accomplishment. So I think social and emotionally, like anyone can use the Bbot. So kids with English language, learners, kids with disabilities. That's what I like too, is that it's very adaptive to different populations as well, and different skill levels within that pre-K or K through 2 population. I also, and then Alexis, you tell me too what you thought was, what you noticed, but there are a couple of things that I thought too, you can make it more advanced, right? So if you have students that are gifted or that just, already are familiar with the basics and they want to level up, they can create the code before for that mirroring one. They can actually sit down with a partner and create like the code of what's going to happen before they test it. And then
Right.
if it doesn't do it right, that's actually good, right? Because the brain
Mhm.
grows more when we make mistakes, which means I have a gigantic brain. But anyway, not really. But then, you can keep testing it until it does what you wanted it to do. So, Alexis, did you want to add anything about those? Just that quick little snapshot?
And for me, my most recent background is middle school. So as I watch it, I'm thinking, well, how can I elevate this to a level where older students can use it? And I love the idea of the drawing shapes for math. The dancing where, in math, they have to talk about reflection, or they have to talk about, those kinds of things. So there are ways to take something that might be at that kindergarten level to sort of elevate it into something bigger that you could do with your second graders. It starts off small, but how can we take this and turn it into something a little bit more advanced for those students who are used to the basics?
Right.
And they're great for just learning to follow directions and working with a partner. So just there's lots of different applications, I think, than when I first worked with Bbots, which was a while ago, that I just didn't even think of. So this is, now, have you tried this, Susan? There's a couple different things we're going to share. Oh, good. So there's a couple things we're going to share. This is one, and I saved the virtual Bbot because their actual name is the emulator, and it sounds, I don't know, ominous to me.
Right.
Instead of calling it the emulator, I just say it's virtual Bbot. But what you can do is you can go on to this, and I think can I move this? No, I think we can click on it. Now, do I do it and we just watch what I'm doing? Is
Well,
that?
I shared the website in the chat.
Oh,
So
good.
she can technically do both, is watch you, and
Oh, good.
if she makes her screen a little smaller.
All right. Well, you decide how you want to do it, Susan. What I'm going to do is, it's easier if I'm very visual and, like, I guess, kinesthetic. So I have to just do it. And then if you want to do it, you do it too. But you're going to get to this screen, and if you look over here where the place says select your mat, right over here where I'm making the cursor, you can do all kinds of stuff. So I know you're already creating some actual, like, real, which is wonderful, because young kids, that sensory, like, right in the room is the best of the best. But this is cool because look at all these different, like, I like this one, the community map. Because you know how they have to learn about, I was briefly a kindergarten teacher, very short-lived, but the kids were wonderful. But you know how you have to learn about the different groups in your community and that sort of thing. So this is, I mean, I'm just picking the things I like, but the consonant vowel sequence and, learning your first beginning letter sounds and that sort of thing. There's so many applications that you can make with this. And we
Now,
can,
where is the
I put
on that page? Yeah, I got
put the
the
direct link. No, I just
All right.
just added the direct link that's going to take you directly to the map.
yeah,
Because
so
Okay.
I'm
you
not sure
go,
where, yeah. I
Go
think on the
there.
Terrapin page, you have to kind of look for it. So now you've got the direct link.
Cool. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and try it. I mean, if you don't mind taking a minute, do one on yours so you can see what the different mats are, because they really do go. Lots of them are based English based, reading based, and then math based. But there are some other ones as well.
Very cool. I like the number line one too. Dice, school mat. Ooh, coins. We're getting ready to do coins.
Oh, look.
Like, yeah, hold up.
Isn't that fun? I just am really excited about this. I think this is cool. And you could have kids, you know how everybody wants to, and then I know I probably am talking too much, but you know how kids, they want to
Sorry.
oh, that's okay. No, you practice with it. But you know how kids like they all want to do the Bbot at once. Well, maybe you could have a small group working on their Chromebooks, or in the computer station doing it virtually, and then they could switch up so they don't feel like, yeah, there's more than one way to use it. And
Right.
you're still doing the same programming skills, right?
Right. Very cool.
Yeah. And you will have access to this anytime. So you can just click on, and Alexis, anyone can do this, right?
Yeah, this one is
For
actually a free
everybody.
website that, and before we met with the Terrapin people, we didn't even know that this existed.
We didn't.
They shared it with us, just let us know it was kind of out there. And I'm actually looking to see if I can find it directly from the Terrapin website. And I don't know that I can.
You can,
So
but
I'm glad we had the link there.
it's well, not to digress, but
Right.
one of the things that Alexis and I talked about with the company was they aren't as educator adept. They're very good at creating cool things, but as far as making that link with the teachers, we've actually, that's one of the reasons we create these tools and these kits resources, is so that we can just drop in the stuff that you're going to want to use, so you can just get to it. But anyway,
Cool.
Just for the sake of time, I don't think I'll spend too much time on this, but I do think my next, wait a minute, let me just see, because now okay, now my daughter, my youngest, is home, and so there's probably going to be barking, but let's see. Now I'm having, oh, look out. Hold on. Let me reopen I think I closed my presentation. And that's okay, because I can find it again. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
I'm going to start from the beginning and just click through so we can. No, but you know what? I've got a
Computational thinking.
Okay, got all that. We did him. Okay. So I'm going to move one more ahead and see at the bottom here, Susan, this isn't talking about, I got mixed up here. At the bottom here, I say emulator and mats available with subscription. That's not exactly, you can use the emulator as long as you want without paying for it.
Gotcha.
But we're showing you how to get to it, which is tricky. Okay. Now, okay, so we did that. Do we want to do a quick, like a demo with it? What do you think, Alexis?
As far as the bats or the Bbots itself? I'm
This
sorry.
one.
Let's see, let me come back to you. I'm in the presentation now.
Well, my
Yeah, I
idea,
think- yeah,
hopefully I cleared mine. I was just going to find the first letter of your name.
of your name, right? And that's a simple one that we can do.
Yeah, it's really easy since mine's L.
So how about you do A for Alexis? And let's
Okay,
do
fine.
that might be a little,
All right,
a
I did
little
practice
tough.
that one.
Or even Susan, I think we could do. Maybe that's more of a challenge.
Let me do Alexis.
Okay.
So we don't go over.
Mhm.
And you know, I am such a novice. I always say, you know, I'm a non-techie. Okay, so what should I do next? I've done 3 forward. Susan, tell me what to do.
All right, then you're going to do a left turn, and then
Okay.
you go forward 3 spots.
See, and that's where I would make my mistake. You know why? Because
you
I
would
think
keep
left makes
pushing that.
goes, but it doesn't. It just moves it.
Right.
See? So, yep, thank you for that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm gonna go.
And I think kids are the same way, where visually they see the arrow going that way. And they
Mhm.
want to click the arrow that way, but it allows them to make those mistakes and then come back and, okay, let me readjust. And the thing that I like about the emulator down at the bottom is it kind of lets you delete parts at a time without having them have to go back and reset the entire thing.
Now,
Right.
how do I get out of this without having to start my presentation over? Oh, there I am.
Yeah, you just click right back on your presentation. Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think what some of what my kids have done is when they do the turn, if they look and see, okay, well, I have to turn and it goes left like 3 spots. They think of it as the arrow, like the left arrow is like 1, 2, 3. It's like,
Mhm.
no, once you've turned, which way is it, which way is it
Yeah.
facing? Now, which way does it go?
Right.
So yeah,
And you always
take a little
remind
bit
them
more
the
thought for
turn
it.
is just a turn. All it does is
Yeah.
turn.
But it's
Yep.
problem solving too, right? Because they're gonna do
Mhm.
it make the wrong way maybe a few times, but then after they practice and try different things, they figure out how to do it. I hope at least that's been the case with me. All right. I'm
And
gonna
we've
come
even,
back to this code in a minute because it doesn't apply to what we're doing now.
we've talked about it in terms of even with spelling is, while it's hard to have them do that, but maybe if when they get to the letter they want to spell, you have them do a full circle, then go to the next letter. So every time it's a letter you want to stop on, I don't want you to spell cat, which means that when it gets to that letter you want him to stop on, at the C, he'll do a full circle. At the A, he'll do a full circle. At the T, he'll do a full circle. And then the other students that are working side by side can check the work to say, okay, I got CAT. Is that what you were trying to get? So there's ways to even, like I said, build on that, not just the letter of the first name, but let's do a full word.
Right. Super cool. And okay, so then what I have here is a few different things, but I plugged in all these examples and it would take longer than we have time for to go through each one. So I'm not going to do, if you see here, I've got a social studies example. This is a mapping one, some different math activities. Again, for like first grade, kindergarten, first grade, and then an art activity, which is different than the one that we looked at already. But what I really want to do instead is go to the site where we've paid for a subscription for you guys, because I think that's going to be helpful to see. So when you're going to get the link that is our subscription link. You'll have that. I mean, it's in the slideshow, but we'll make sure you have it just so it's real clear what it is. If you click on here, you can't do anything here because I tried and it doesn't let me.
Yeah, we only paid for the lesson subscription because we thought that was what would be most helpful.
It is.
Right.
I will vouch for that.
Yeah.
So we click on the Bebot lessons. And then it says enter your access code, which is a gazillion letters and numbers. But once you do it once, it'll just remember it. So I'm just going to click on that and log in. And you will have this. Then it'll take you here and you just literally open this up and look on the left-hand menu here. And it's kind of, well, I don't want to say endless, but I think there's 250. I could be wrong on the number, but I think maybe close to that. Maybe it's 150, but there's a lot of lessons across all these different areas. So Susan, pick a subject and I'll go click on that.
Do mathematics.
Okay. And then see, you've got you know, see what I mean? Every time, and then I'm gonna let you pick again, but every time you click on a subject, you get a multitude of options within. I just wanted to, but then pick one of these and we'll look at what it
And
looks.
while they're not necessarily aligned to your SOL, they're still giving you the objective there, so you can go through and sort of weed out what you're looking for and what you're
And
not.
it will line up with an SOL.
Oh, they
It's
do.
just, well, not the one they put in, because they do.
Right, that's, yeah, but that
Right.
objective, you
Yeah.
can use
Right.
an objective to help. Yeah, absolutely. I was like, did I miss something?
Yeah,
And you
do let's see. Do the pizza night, the 1-25.
Oh, here goes Max. Hold on. Let me mute myself and I will click on that, but Max. How do I mute?
1-25, Lisa, pizza night. No, you're in the right spot. Just go down to the where it says 25 next to it instead of, there you go. And you'll have access to this, Susan, for a full year. Well, a full year minus the month we've had it. So,
Gotcha.
right. So we just got this a few weeks ago, well, about a month ago. And so that to make sure that we had it available to share with you all.
Cool. 2, 4, 6. So the mats they're showing are online, and their mats are what, 6 by 6? Is that right?
I believe so. And these are something where you can, get out your bulletin paper and sort
You
of,
can make
if
it,
you
right.
got the time, if you
Right,
don't
right.
purchase yourself. One of the teachers was talking about laminating and so that they had them from, continuously, but
Mhm. One thing that I did last year, and this year I haven't done anything with it, but I'd gone to a training through Longwood, and they had some Bebot things, and one of the things she said was that she had learned that when she had her mats, not to have them folded up because then the Bebot had trouble with the folds. So to make sure it was rolled, but I went to Walmart and found, like, over in their craft section, you can get like the tablecloth, the plastic tablecloth covers that are clear. And I
Oh,
bought some of those because I thought if I could make a grid, then from the grid I could, just tape down pictures, and then all I'd have to do would be take pictures up whenever I wanted to and just make sure that flat mat was over top of it.
yeah.
But then I bought the plastic cover, but I haven't done it yet.
But that
Well,
sounds like a really smart idea, is
It's
just
really good.
using a clear mat to create your grid and then putting the things on it. And then
Yeah.
you could make all kinds of mats with that.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, that might work, and it wouldn't take quite as much laminating. And
Would you be okay if we added that into the presentation? Is the idea of shared by Lisa Owenby?
Susan,
yep.
yeah. I did, yes. That's a
Because
really
that sounds
great
like a
idea. because
fantastic idea,
It's
is the idea
inexpensive
of,
ways to,
Mhm.
recycle materials that the kids
Mhm.
aren't going to damage the pictures, and you can change it up fairly, like Alexa said, with almost anything and pretty
you could
quickly.
even
across
use student
subjects.
work is their own pictures that you,
Mhm.
I need your picture of
Yeah.
that we drew yesterday of your mouse.
Right.
That's a fantastic idea.
So here too, where they do some differentiation, and a lot of their differentiation talks about things like working in partners, and peers and that sort of thing. And that's good. I'm going to click on this just because I don't know what it is. Which
But
could, could
notice
be
your
not even.
standards are Common Core
Oh, there
standards
we
as
go.
opposed to Virginia SOL.
So I guess you can just print these, right? She can print whatever she wants, right, from this, because that's why we pay for it. Oh, look, see? Okay. There you go. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
I just kind of wanted to run through what one of these looks like, so that, let's see if I don't mess up my whole thing. Oh, look, I didn't mess it up. Just so you can kind of see what the resources are that are available, because like Alexa said, when we first started and had the Bebots, we didn't know all, that the virtual Bebot board was available for free. And also that you could even have a subscription to curriculum that was aligned to the core standards, which really also align, right, you know, as we know, with the VDOE. So I think, let me make sure I'm going the wrong way. Whoop, look, see. I'm just excited that Max stopped barking. Oh, I wanted to talk about this one just because I thought it was really cool. When Alexis was saying, you know, to adapt for older students, or even like some of maybe your gifted students, I found an example, and I didn't plug the whole thing in here because it was like a lesson plan, and I wasn't sure what I could do with that as far as sharing it. But I wanted to just show you because you mentioned any kinds of pictures. And what this teacher did was for students that maybe students that are having more challenges, you might use this bird identification map just to look at things like different bird colors or matching up shorebirds versus, you know, songbirds, or even though that's actually kind of complicated. But you can level it up even more to like the different features that the birds have, like the different types of bills they have, because some are seed eaters and some are fruit eaters or whatever. So it just, there's so much, there's layering of complexity that you can, I guess, you know, use with your pictures and with the Bebop maps that you create. So this teacher was working with second grade, but then also able to level it up to older grades, upper grades in elementary. So I just thought that was kind of a cool thing. And I'm afraid to click on this, but I will. I don't remember exactly where I'm going here. Okay, no, okay. The other thing I wanted to share that I forgot. I clicked this link in here. This is what she did with her bird study lesson on Terrapin, which they don't call it Bebop, which is why it's complicated to me, because nobody knows what Terrapin, well, I didn't know what Terrapin was, but I know what Bebop is. But anyway, when you go into your Terrapin website, which now you have the link because it's under the bird pictures, the bird map picture, there's all kinds of stuff in here. They call them customer stories. See this on the left? Customer stories. And look, this is also an access for you to ways that different teachers are around the world, really, and around the country, how they're using Bebop in their classrooms.
Cool.
Which I thought was super, super cool. Yeah. So we really do have a lot of resources for Bebops, and I hope that you know, we can spread the word because they're easy to use. It's kind of deceiving. They look so simple, but you really can do a lot with them. And then we put in just some basic, you know, additional resources for you to explore on your own, you know, kind of with your own time. But this was one that Alexis found. These are all on their website. Terrapin logo is the Bebop website. But then Alexis found this one, and we put this one in. 50 ways to make the most of your Bebop. So it's, I mean, I don't know how well it's going to load for us because it's a big document, but it goes on and on. I think this, I don't remember if this is a British one or not. There's tons of British videos on YouTube too that are fun. But anyway, so you see they have using them for planning specific activities, how to make resources, which is probably what you're already, you know, you probably could consult with them on that. Anyway, I just want to see. Yeah. So and then I get distracted because I start looking, but you can really use these for any subject. So like they have here. And we've talked about that a little bit, but that's a resource that we don't have to go through all 70 pages right now. But
you'll have it available to you.
It's
so
all going to be there for
links,
you.
yes.
All of and
Okay.
customer stories here. Remember, we talked, that's the customer stories where there's all the different schools across the country that are using it. And then lastly, just to wrap up before our hour is up, we have a little mini survey for you if you know, to complete. And what she doesn't have to do that this second though, does she?
No. And
How did you get
but
to
I'm
it?
kind of glad, that this is the one that we're ending on, because one of the things that we didn't get to do with our introduction, as we said, both of us are new to TSEP, and then of course new to the ARCS program.
Yeah.
But one of our goals is to sort of become that direct contact, so that not just give